community in Freetown. So I'm so excited to share a little about my work and the work of Word Made Flesh Sierra Leone. I just want to thank this church and you guys for the ways that you have supported me over the last year and a half as I've been in Freetown. I've been specifically serving in the community of Crew Bay, which is a local slum area in the city of Freetown. It's home to over 22,000 people within an area of less than a kilometer. So Crew Bay is located in a bay leading into the Atlantic Ocean that is prone to extreme flooding and fires due to poor city infrastructure. Many of the people in Crew Bay experience extreme poverty, lack of access to clean water and safe food, and discrimination and oppression within society. In fact, often when I tell people I work there, they laugh and they say nothing good comes from Crew Bay. I think people also said that about a certain place called Nazareth, and we know who came from there. So as I work in Crew Bay, I remember that as people, sometimes we think we have the power to say the things that have hope, the people that have hope, the places that have hope. But the God that we serve is the only one that can do that can declare hope over hopeless situations and places. There is no place that the hope and transformative power of Jesus cannot touch. Word Made Flesh is called and committed to serving Jesus among the most vulnerable of those in poverty, and has been in the community of Word Made Flesh over the last 20 years, focused on building relationships and being consistently present with people, walking with people, sitting with them, getting to know them as friends, as Jesus did in his short time on earth. We have programs for children, youth, women, and men that focus on sharing the love of Jesus and empowering people to see that they are beloved and known and chosen. Those programs will play on the screens that you guys can see as I share different stories with you, because I believe the transformative power of Jesus does not just come from Christ-centered programs or initiatives, but from sharing our stories and testimonies and our lived experiences. So some of you may know this already, but I'm a nurse, and I work closely with people in Crew Bay who experience health challenges. One of my dearest friends, we'll call her Mary, frequently comes to our women's program. Over the course of several weeks, we noticed that she started losing weight rapidly. Her feet were swollen, she was exhausted. Many people are scared of accessing medical care because medical care in Sierra Leone is generally not good. Every hospital Mary went to dismissed her symptoms or discriminated against her when learning where she was from. One evening, just as I was leaving work, she came into the office, honestly looking like she was on death's door. I wouldn't say I often hear God's voice, but I felt the Lord was telling me my coworker and myself needed to go with her that evening to the hospital, because previous times she had just gone by herself. We went to the hospital. The doctors didn't take us seriously or do any tests. They actually told us to go home. But we persisted, and over the next few days, we went to various hospitals advocating for Mary to get the care she needed. And through that, we ended up learning that she had a life-threatening illness, that if it hadn't been sorted out, she would have passed away from that. We found out that Mary was also pregnant. She was a single mother to an 8-year-old girl already, and really struggling to get by. And she had no home. She was just moving from place to place, staying with friends. She was planning on letting herself die because the extreme hopelessness of her situation. She was in pain every day, and it was really difficult for her to provide for her daughter. She was feeling really hopeless. So every day for months, we went with Mary to the hospital, or we visited her, or we met her in the community center as she came to our women's programs. Gradually, she began to smile. She gained a healthy weight back. She joined us for our staff worship and prayer meetings that we have every day. And she began to learn sewing from a local tailor that volunteers at Word Made Flesh. So in February, she gave birth to a healthy baby girl. I don't have that picture just to protect her. She has become one of the most talented tailors I know, and I'm grateful for her friendship. We were able to financially help her with her medical needs through Word Made Flesh. We continue to mentor her in her faith, and she continues to attend skilled training to learn how to be a better tailor. And we built a friendship with Mary that has had a lasting impact. So our tutoring program is what you guys see on the screen right now. It's a weekly one that happens after school from Monday to Wednesday for 3 hours. It's through this program that I met a little boy named Paul. That's the name I'm going to use. He was hit by a motorcycle, which is called an okada in Sierra Leone, and left on the street with an open wound in his leg. He was just 8 years old at the time, and his leg got progressively worse due to bad stitching and the inability for his parents to bring him to the hospital because it got more and more expensive. When I met him, he was barely able to walk because the leg was so badly infected. We were able to bring Paul to a good local hospital for antibiotics and I cleaned his wound every day. Now he's running around with the other kids. I think he's in the equivalent of grade 4. He's learning lots from the after-school program. He's definitely a fun little boy. The next slide is our Lighthouse Youth Program. It's another program that focuses on mentoring, but specifically at-risk youth in Crew Bay. We connect them with schools, mentor them, and meet weekly to have like a youth group. There are over 45 youth that come consistently every Thursday. Adam is one of those youth whose name's also been changed that experienced a lot of abuse at home. He was staying with his stepmother and father, and it was just not a healthy situation. We were able to remove him from that situation, provide counseling, and now he's enrolled in school and volunteers at our other Word Made Flesh programs with kids. He's amazing. The next slide is our Good News Club. That's something that's really close to my heart. Over the last 18 years of Word Made Flesh serving in Crew Bay, I've only been there for a year and a half, but for the 18 years, so many children have become connected with us through this weekly ministry that happens on Saturday mornings. So we have this at a church in Crew Bay, and about 250 kids attend every week. In non-COVID times, we've had to decrease that due to COVID, but the situation of COVID is a lot different in Sierra Leone. It's much better than it was here. What I think is really cool is that the Lighthouse Youth, that previous slide that you guys saw, they're the ones that actually teach the program. They invest in the kids of Crew Bay as they were invested in. They teach Bible stories and play and dance and sing with the kids. Word Made Flesh believes that as God transforms the lives of the kids and youth of Crew Bay, they can turn around and invest in and love their own community. All of these stories of people like Mary and Paul and Adam are beautiful ones of God seeing hopeless situations and gradually infusing hope into a life day by day. That is what is at the heart of Word Made Flesh. Long-term investment in people that shares hope into hopeless situations. So one of my favorite things, it's really small writing, but I'll explain what it says on the slide here. One of my favorite things that Word Made Flesh does is medical assistance. I'm the community health nurse there, and as you heard in the previous stories I've told, we meet and we get to know a lot of people through connecting them with good medical care and praying for healing. Word Made Flesh also protects vulnerable populations through education in Crew Bay about preventing and reporting abuse and seeking legal justice against perpetrators of abuse. So this is another really small writing slide, but if you turn to Isaiah 41, you'll see what I'm talking about here. As I reflect on the God we serve, I'm reminded of the cotton tree, as you see in that picture, which is in the center of Freetown. It's about a 10-minute walk from Crew Bay. There are reports that the cotton tree has been around since before 1787. This tree is huge. It makes sense that it's a few hundred years old. It is now a symbol of hope that has grown up as the Freetown landscape has changed so much over the last 200 years. But it wasn't previously a symbol of hope. Stories tell that the cotton tree was there when slavery began, and Sierra Leone was a major port in the slave trade. The cotton tree was still there when a group of people who had been enslaved in the US and then had settled and experienced extreme racism in Nova Scotia, actually decided that they would move back to West Africa and landed on the shores of Freetown. So they settled in what was named Freetown because of the hope of a new life of freedom. Whenever anyone looks at the tree, or most people, when they look at the tree, they're reminded of the history of people re-landing on the shores of Freetown and redeeming the tree that was once used to tie people up during slavery times. The people decided to redeem the horrible history and claim the tree as a symbol of hope and freedom by singing hymns and praises to God around the tree. So Isaiah 41, part of it's on the screen there, talks about God instilling hope into hopelessness. It's talking specifically about Israel, but it talks about God putting trees in deserts, being the God that puts trees in deserts, rivers on barren heights. As I watch the cotton tree, I'm reminded that God does not see a desert or a wasteland or hopelessness. He sees rivers and trees and hope. He can redeem anything because he creates hope. So Crew Bay is not a Nazareth, but a place of hope. Hope that is slowly growing over the years like this cotton tree. So there are some prayer requests up here, which I would like you to join me in prayer for. I'm just going to read them out because the writing's a little bit small. So please be praying for healing, restoration, and protection for the women, children, and youth we work with in Crew Bay. Life is not easy for them. And they could use all the prayer that you guys can give. Pray for provision for the various medical needs and our new ministry building at the community center. In the video, you saw the women with sewing machines on the lawn. That's because we currently don't have enough space. So during the rainy season, we've actually had to change things around so that our other programs are in other places. And so this new ministry building will be a huge, huge help. It will have a kitchen to continue cooking hot meals for our different programs, and it'll allow the women to be inside and sewing. Pray for the Holy Spirit to continue to lead the 14 staff and volunteers of Word Made Flesh. It's a really small organization, but we're not about the numbers, we're about the people. Ultimately, pray for the transformative and healing power of Jesus to be known deeply by our friends in Crew Bay. One prayer request that isn't up on the slides but just happened medical care in Sierra Leone. So the World Health Organization is actually sending people to do that, but it's a really really hard thing for the nation right now. So if you could be praying for that as well. As my heart is grieved by that, I'm comforted in knowing that God is a God of comfort, who is just and kind and working to weave hope into situations of hopelessness. If you came here today feeling hopeless, or that God is distant from you, please be comforted in knowing that the stories of hope I've shared are here in Kirkland Lake as much as they are in Crew Bay. God is present and hears your prayers, knows your pain, and can redeem anything. So if you'd like to know anything else about Word Made Flesh and what we do, you can come and talk to me after the service. I have some necklaces that were made of recycled cardboard and paper. You wouldn't know it to look at them, but they were made by some artisans that we employ and get paid through this. And there's also some star ornaments for Christmas trees that are also made by these ladies. All of the proceeds go back to the ladies and to continuing the ministry of Word Made Flesh. So yeah, thank you.